This is going to help us out this morning, so we're gonna.
Morning has broken like the first morning. God has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the sweet the rain's new fall, sunlight from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the red garden, sprung in completeness where his feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden so brave. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day. Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for the springing fresh from the word.
Here we are. So we're here, a nice sunny day again in Surrey. Lovely. And I'd like to tell you God loves you, and so do we. Give your neighbors a hug if you haven't, and say, glad that you're here.
Hey, glad that you're here.
You too. I'm glad that you're here.
I'm glad that you're here.
How you doing?
Hi, Gene.
Doing good.
Hugs.
Yeah.
We're glad you're here.
Yeah, glad you're
Say
here.
hey.
I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here. I'm glad
Hey,
you're here.
you're here.
Get that Aussie hug over there. Yeah, oh yes, forget about Aussie. Yeah.
Glad you're here, Dale. Glad you're here. Glad you're here.
I gave all that already.
I got to do another one.
And Kathy, we're all glad you're here.
You too.
Glad that you're here.
Okay, Kathy's going to be the chairperson, so there you go, Kath.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for coming today for our wonderful chapel service. And get your spiritual fulfillment to bring you through the week. Our speaker today is going to be Barbara. She's got some always very important stuff to say and very inspirational, and I just love her stories and whenever she has anecdotes to teach us. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say today.
Okay, so we're going to do our second song.
Oh, yeah, second song.
Yeah.
Mess it up. We got a second song before
Not
you
a problem.
Oh, put
So
your
we've got to really-
your hand in the hand, number 6.
We're going to rev this one right up.
But it was me skipping over.
Put your hand in the hand of the man who knows the sea.
There we go. Well, I guess we understand we didn't have that, so we're going to stop. There you are.
Very nice.
Well, we do have funny things happen at the
We
chapel.
sure do.
Yeah.
Keeps it interesting.
And we get surprised because there's more song and it just stops.
Yeah.
There you
Usually
go.
there, I'm so good at following this map, and there I messed it up. But now, I'm glad we got each other to keep each other on track.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what we're for. Between the two of us, we have one truck.
That's right. That's good. Well, a train needs two tracks to ride on, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. All right. So I'm going to move over there and let you give your talk, and I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to hearing what you have to say.
Sounds
All
good.
right.
Yeah. So, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah. I kind of didn't know what I was going to talk about till Linda came in.
Oh, good.
And
Good for you.
so what I thought I would talk about is changes. Because changes happen all the time. They say that if things quit changing, you start regressing. If you don't take change, you go backwards. Or you die. Whatever. Because life is just total of changes. Things that come along. Some changes are really fabulous. We get really excited. You know, Kathy had a change in her life after 7 months. Now, mind you, we have to go back because in the beginning when Kathy started that wasn't really a good change. That wasn't what you were expecting. It wasn't something that it might have been something that she wanted, but you know, sometimes when you have a job and you have the paycheck and it makes it till the end of the month and it's not a half bad job, and you think, well, you know, I don't really love this job, but I love the paycheck. And so you won't leave the job because it's a security blanket, okay? And so all of a sudden, sometimes we get courage to get out on that tightrope and talk about people that we come outside our comfort zone. Sometimes we have to put one foot ahead of the other on a tightrope and just keep an eye ahead on what the ultimate goal is that I'm doing. And sometimes we'll get outside of our comfort zone and we'll do it willingly. Sometimes we just hold on like this and say, you know, on the center of the comfort zone, and you run to the edge and then go back and sit on at the post in the middle again and keep doing this, and you just will not make that commitment. And I think what happens is that God says, hey, listen, angels, get down and give her a kick in the butt, you know, because she needs to get kicked out of being flying through life white knuckling, okay? She needs to get a kick in her butt and get moving on to the next phase, because that is what happens. Sometimes it's a really good phase that's out there, and you know it's a good phase and you really want to do it, but your fear holds you back. And sometimes it's a case that what's on the next phase isn't really what you want to have happen, but it's what is going to happen. It is part of life. So Kathy had the same thing happen. All of a sudden, job's gone. Security blanket's been pulled out from underneath her. But instead of getting into a panic, which I dare say, because Kathy and I have talked a lot, that a few years before, she would have gone into sheer panic and gone home crying and weeping and wailing and, you know, not been able to receive what it was God had for her for a while until she got out of the grief. Isn't that true? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how many of us have all had the same thing happen? I bet everyone here. That sometimes what happens, it's so grief-striking that we go into the emotional part where the heart is literally breaking. And you can actually feel like your heart hurts. Has anybody had a pain in a relationship or in something that's happened to them? The heart actually feels sore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, it just it's just so emotionally upset about it. Your heart actually feels sore. You wonder if it really did break in parts or whatever. So, you know, sometimes we just have to say, well, there's got to be another dream. Okay, that dream's gone down the tube. There's going to be another dream. It's not how I would have written the script, God, but, you know, there is another dream there. There is other life as long as you've got breath. And I got thinking about that. And, you know, Kathy's talked about it a few weeks back, that what happened to her really was that this was an opportunity for her to say, I'm going to embrace my dream that I've had for a long time. I'm going to embrace the dream that God's put on my heart for a long time. And although I really shouldn't be frightened because my check's gone, I'm going to have faith that this has been liquidated because God wants me to move on. Okay? And she did. And for 7 months, came to church, talked about how being positive, all the things she's been doing, going out talking to this person, going out talking to that person, going to see this school, going to see that counselor, going to see different people. Some were saying, no, it's not, this isn't what we do, we can't help you. And some people said, I can't help you, but I can get you somebody who can help you. But so instead of, when the door slammed in her face, instead of just going home and saying, well, I tried, but the door slammed in my face. So that's it. I'm going to go and just sit here, or I'm going to get panicky. I'm going to take the first job that comes until I got a paycheck. For 7 months, it takes a lot of faith to hold on for 7 months and keep going out every day, talking to people, till finally the paper comes, sign this paper, Kath. And she gets on her counseling course in the school, and she will be a registered counselor. She will have her qualifications that 2 years ago never dreamed that she'd be able to do because she couldn't quit her job to do it. So I thought back about Kathy a lot this week, and about the fact that she gave me this bracelet last week. And for whatever reason was impressed that I needed the healing bracelet last week. And next week you will find out why. Because that part of it we aren't going to discuss today. But I'm going to talk about being gracious and gratificated, and looking at the book Kathy has of affirmations, all these things that she's been doing for the last few years, bringing herself to this. Saying thank you for what your God, what the God has given you, rather than be saying, dear God, why do I have to not have this? Or why do I have to go through this? What about all the blessings? Well, I was 27 years old. I had 3 children. My husband, as people well know, has a little bit of a dreamer in him. And so we would be doing really well in something, and he would get a dream to do something else, and we would follow the Canadian dream, and away we would go. And so we had been broke once in Alberta after being very affluent when he was in the Navy, and we had a store that I ran, and things were going well, but completely wiped out in Alberta, waiting to go farming with his brother and sister, who, if it cost a nickel to cross the road, would have to walk around the block. So our savings that we had for our 2.5 years when we moved out there was completely gone. And by this time I was pregnant with my 2nd child. So we go into Ontario, and we kind of fight the battle to get back on our feet. And we buy a little house in London, Ontario. I got to tell you the price. You're going to fall off your chair, Kat. $5,250. 2-bedroom, little house, only 4 years old. Next door to wrecking yards. So this is why it was cheaper than the ones in town, which were $11,000. But we bought this little house, and we just worked really hard. And we did everything we could. And Ozzy worked long hours. He had basically a double route with Nielsen's ice cream. And he would go out, and he got to the point that he would go out in the summertime on Monday, and he would have to stay overnight Monday night and come back Tuesday, and then he would go Thursday night and come back Friday the other night, see who was delivering close enough to come home. and 6 days a week, and it was 12, 14 hours a day through the summertime. So he did this for about 7 years, and again, the wanderlust and the farming came in. Now, I have to understand that Ozzy's dream of farming was a dream. He had never farmed, really. So instead of going and working on a farm first, which would have been smart, get some education on farming, no, we have to sell our beautiful home that we've got 1 year left to pay on, and we trade it off on this farm. Well, we get to the farm and find out, number one, the buildings are falling down. The inside of the house was a total disaster. The plaster's coming off the walls. I had to staple plastic curtains onto the walls and the windows. Because if you remember in those days, we didn't get stripped plastic like we can now, but we'd have plastic curtains that looked like cloth. Do you, any of the older ones here remember those? Well, we stapled those to the windows because the wind would just come right straight through, and we're eating with wooden goal, and we got this great big 75-acre farm, and then we're going to farm. Well, the barns aren't in very good shape, so the following summer, up through the wintertime, Ozzy works 4 days a week, so that's good. He's home 3 days a week, but what does a farmer do in the wintertime? He doesn't farm, right? And we moved in November, so we're farming. So farm time comes, and of course he's back to his 14-hour days. Now we're 25 miles from where he works, where his depot is. So that adds extra time, and he's working his little old head off, and then coming home. The only day he has off is Sunday, and he's trying to get this vegetable farm working. We were growing Vicks pickles, cucumbers for Vicks. So anyway, we find out, first of all, the land is sour. We don't know that when we buy it. We know it's black loam down the bottom, clay loam up at the top. Don't know which grows. We know vegetables grow in the black loam real good. The black loam is sour, so it should have really been treated and whatnot. Well, we didn't know about that. But anyhow, long story short, we get 2,500 tomato plants planted. We get cucumbers by the acres in the ground, and we have drought. So Ozzy's doing what he can on Sunday, but I've got, at this time, 3 children, and I'm pregnant with, no, I'm ahead of myself. I'm not pregnant yet. So there's an old barn that the wind has taken part of the corner out. So he's concerned with the children running in and out of there. The 2 kids that were, our first 2 were hyperactive children, and they go everywhere, on top of the roofs, anywhere. So he was concerned that it was going to come down on top of them. So he decides he's going to take the barn down. I'm 27 years old. My girlfriend and I, whose husband is in helping him do this barn. And we're sitting there picking some vegetables. We're all going to have something to eat after the boys get out there and start cutting the rafters so that they can get the barn roof off. So I go out and get some vegetables and come back in, and I said, man, they sure got that down in a heck of a hurry. To find out about 10 minutes later that my husband comes in, and his arm that's supposed to be here is here, hanging down. And the barn has come down on both of them. Made an error of judgment because he's tired. Made an error of judgment to cut the rafters. At the far end, he cut one rafter with a saw, hand saw. And got through it and said, we're going to take forever to do this. And of course, typical Aussie in those days, or men, period, gets, this is Tim the Tool Man, get the chainsaw, and is showing off, young man that is 30 years old, and of how good it is to his buddy. Zoom, zoom, zoom through all these ties. Gets to the second last one and says to him, when I cut this one, we're going to have to be careful and figure out how we're going to support this barn roof. Because when I cut the last one, it's going to come down. Where did I tell you that he started with the regular saw on the last one? It was already cut. So when he cut the second last one, the whole thing came down on top of both boys. And the friend went through the floor. The floor was so rotten. He went through the floor, got a bruised hip. But Ozzy was trapped on a cement wall, sitting like this, bent right over with the chainsaw running, and a whole 2 tons of metal on his back. His friend got out and Ozzy tried to explain to him how to pry to get the weight off him so he could slide off the side of the wall. And he couldn't understand what, because he was putting more load on Ozzy. So then he used that 4-letter word and just grabbed the hold in the angel's help and put it right up over his head like this. Ozzy slipped off the side of the wall and he dropped it. Well, Ozzy came into the house. When we found out just how bad he was, I phoned the doctor. He said, no sense in me coming out. Doctors visited in those days. I am going to have you meet me at the hospital. He was already at 9 o'clock at night in his office. He was just finishing up at office visits, nighttime office visits. And I'll meet you at the hospital. So I get Ozzy in the car. I turn off the light on the dashboard and I hit that gravel road as fast as that car would go. And I just headed in for London, Ontario, and took him to the hospital. So when the doctor seen him put the arm back in, he jumps up. Goes, "That's good, Doc, I'm going home." The doc said, "No, you're not, or I won't be your doctor." He said, "You're staying for x-rays." So he said to me, "If I don't call you by 10 o'clock, come on in and get him." So I took him literally, and he didn't call me by 10 o'clock, and I went in to get him. He had 2 crushed vertebrae in his back, just like powder. How he walked, I thought people broke their back, they didn't walk. But fortunately enough, he didn't damage any nerves. He was like 1/8 of an inch from being paralyzed from the waist down. So I've been looking at that lately. I'm thinking to myself, I could have lost him in that barn. I would have been 27 years old and 3 children. The youngest one was 18 months old, and the oldest one was 6. It was 7, I guess. He turned 7 that month. I would have been left a widow with nothing, because the farm was worth nothing. But God graced us somehow or other, because when our friend went back the next day, he lost his lucky hat in the barn. So we went back to see if he could find his lucky hat. And he tried to move that 2 ton of metal and wood, and he couldn't even shake it. It wouldn't even rock. He does not know the day he died, he did not know how he lifted that off of Ozzy's back. But God's choice and Ozzy's choice at that time were to stay. And we've been blessed now. At that time, I was 27, so that means that we've been married about 7 years. Not quite 7 years. No, it would have been 7 years, yes, because I was married while I was still 19, and that was in June, and I would have had my 7th anniversary in April. And now we have had 60 years of beautiful marriage, ups and downs like everybody else. Nothing is ever always all good. But we've had a good friendship, we've had great family. 2 more of our children are born after that, who would not be here had he not have survived. So I look at my age now and at changes that are coming in our life and say, the other bumps in the road, there are bumps in the road. The carpet gets pulled out. You will go through whatever you go through during that time. hopefully, like Kathy, with a lot of positive thought about what you're going to be able to produce beyond that when you go through a tough time. You can't control what happens, but you can control the attitude with which you receive that. And so I'm saying to you today that as changes come in everybody's life, and they are coming in our life, and that I would embrace those changes, take the heart soreness that, that happens, and that feeling in here, because I always tell my students, you didn't leave your heart in San Francisco, you left your solar plexus, because right here is where it always gets you. It feels like somebody's grabbed you in the center and turned it. But literally, when it's really bad, even the heart hurts. And you take that and say, I will do the best at having the best attitude that I can possibly have. And I will say that it is a choice of God. And my choice, obviously, because somewhere along the line, I knew what is going to be before I got here. Just as I knew who my family was and who would raise me and all the rest of it. So, as long as there is breath, you have to continue to honor the people that have been in your life with being everything that you can be. Be the best me that you can be. Thank you.
Beautiful. So true. Thank you very much for that.
You're
It's
welcome.
all about remembering to breathe through it all.
And exhale.
Yeah.
How many people realize that when you get choked up, that you suck in air and that you don't exhale? You don't let the air out, you hold it in here.
And
That's why you feel
some
chilled.
people hyperventilate.
Yeah,
because
and
of
that's
that.
why you're chilled. You feel chilled.
Even like today, riding my scooter for the first time in the season today, when I came to my first red light, I thought, oh, that's right, I gotta remember to breathe while I'm riding. It's exciting and scary at the same time.
Exactly, Kathy.
Sure.
So that's really, really good. So thank you, everybody, for listening.
It's great. I love hearing your every time you have very inspiring stuff to say, and I really learn from you every week.
Okay.
And that brings us to we are a healing ministry, and for absent-minded healing, we do have this healing bowl here that you can either put somebody's name in it, or if you feel like you need a little extra healing in your life, feel free to put your name in there. First name only is needed because God knows who you are and who it's meant for. And these prayer bowls are prayed on all over the world, and including me. Sometimes when I think about it during the week and I think about that one, I just think, may the best whose name's in there happen for them. And we're going to have our healing meditation, so please close your eyes and feel the energy.
Find a comfortable position and take your thoughts inward and upward to a little spot in the universe where God resides and healing begins. Allow the energy to move through the tips of your toes, moving upward, swirling round and round the body, and allow it to come up through the top of the head and flow over the body like a gentle summer rain. As you breathe in again, feel the energy bringing alive all the cells in the body that work together with all of the organs. And allow those organs to be like a wonderful symphony concert orchestra that play their instruments independently, but they play with such harmony and such rhythm that they are working for the whole beauty of the piece they are playing. And as you breathe the energy in and revitalize all of the energies in the body in the cells and the organs. Know that you are doing that to bring healing to the whole. And as the energy comes in again through the tips of the toes, allow it to expand into the mind. Let the mind open and be receptive. Let the mind be positive and be healthy, so that it may touch the dreams, the ideas that God has to make you all that you can be. Allow those dreams, those thoughts, those energies to come through the mind to healthy growth, so that they will grow and produce the dream that God has for you. Breathing in again, allow yourself to come in touch with the Spirit, that part of yourself that is always perfect. And allow the Spirit to communicate to the mind and the body what it needs for this journey that it is having in this physical existence. And as you have healed your own self, body, mind, and spirit, be like a pebble in a great pond of energy, and allow your energy to move forward and ripple outward, and let it touch each member in the room. And joining together, allowing the energy to draw through everyone to facilitate the healing. Taking a deep breath now, think about outside of this room into the community of your family, the community around you, of your teachers and your leaders, and allow that energy to ripple out and touch all of them, so that they too may experience the wonderful healing, the wonderful peace. Allow that energy now to go forward into the world, and not only touch the world's leaders, but to touch the animals, the vegetation, the waters, the atmosphere, so that they may be healed. And let us be thankful to the animals and the vegetation and the minerals that give of themselves and serve us so greatly and feed us so well. Allow us now to reach out into the universe, into other parts of the universe that we are not familiar with. For many mansions in God's world that we are not aware of every room in every mansion. But we send love and we send caring, for God promises us that love and healing is never ending. And all we need to do is ask, and the energy will follow the intention of the thought, and the healing will begin. Now, as we circle back to the seat of the soul, take a few moments just to sit quietly before you come back to your everyday, workaday world, to enjoy the tranquility and the peace of the healing area of of your garden, the inner garden of healing. And know that you may visit here at any time. And God has promised the love and the healing is never ending. So open your hearts, your mind and your hand. God bless you, and He sends His angels to keep after you.
Here we go. Hoping everybody is back. Nice and comfortable.
Wiggle your arms if you want a little bit, your hands, and come back to Barbara's living room.
Yeah.
Our sweet little chapel that I love
Just
so
a
much.
little bit about the healing with that injury that Ozzy had. Anybody who'd known us well, that happened to him at 30 years old. And they know that he's done physical labor, building and construction and running as a courier up and down stairs, and never has had a backache after his back healed.
Oh, that's amazing.
And when we last went back to Ontario, with the doctor who was treating us was still in practice, and that would be in the 80s. We walked in to say hi, hadn't seen him for a number of years. First thing he said to Ozzy, "Bend over, let me check your back, how are you doing?" Yeah, he said, I get people that bend over to pick up a pencil and they can't do anything again. He said, this is a miracle. Because just go right to powder.
Yeah.
The X-ray, the two vertebrae were right, third and fifth vertebrae were to powder, and the nerves were undamaged. It was a miracle, really, the angels getting him out of there, and that nothing happened while it took him in, and the whole thing.
And I was able to lift that
Yeah.
off of him. I mean, that's,
Awesome.
I love believing in miracles because
I do too.
it brings more miracles happening to everybody and to myself as well. And so that brings us to our care and share part of our service.
And I was wondering if Gail would like to come and talk a little bit about the order of divine order that's been happening with you this last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it says Gail question mark. So
Yeah, well, I always love to talk. So
Sure, you come up
that's
and
not
give
a
us
problem.
we will
a
give them
chat
more to
here.
you. You've got the roster.
Definitely come up and have a chat with how the divine order's been working for you.
Well, I have to say, it really does work the best when I don't interfere.
Yeah.
Because the harder I try to get things to go the way I want them to go, the more they just seem to go their own way. And while Barb was talking, now I hope that story about Ozzy is going to go in your book.
I think
one about the
actually that-
beams and
Yeah, I think actually it is, and don't stand there sucking your thumb.
yeah. But in your other book that you're talking about, the Everyday Miracles, whatever you're going to
Yeah.
call it, that's
Yeah.
that story ranks
Yeah, because
right
you can
up there.
always put it in another one anyway.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's because when you meet people, everybody looks normal.
Yeah.
You don't realize that they have extraordinary things that happen to them because we just all look so everyday, but yet everyday people is exactly where it all
Exactly.
happens. So for those of you that don't know, my partner Rick had a serious stroke 13 years ago and had lived in an independent seniors facility in Prince George for the last 8 years before I met him. And when I went up there to work, that's where we met, and we decided to move. He had a place in Quesnel that if we're talking about things happening in the right time, my job was coming to an end in November. The person who was living in his trailer died in September. The son was finished moving all of his stuff out the middle of October, and there it was, ready for us, right? Just exactly at the right time. And I don't know, I don't really think that this has very much to do with me, but I think it has an awful lot to do with Rick. And that he'd spent 8 years living in the
And the
chateau.
divine order of it.
But he had spent, if we're going to, a certain amount of this maybe is the law of attraction too, right? Like he had spent 8 years thinking that he needed to get out of the chateau with absolutely no clue how it would ever happen, because it wasn't something he could do.
No.
It just simply wasn't something he could do. He was too badly challenged with health issues. So we move into the trailer, and we find a new doctor. We get him referred to J.F. Strong. We come back. The first time we came down here for J.F. Strong was last September. Then we wait months and months and months, and nothing happens. And they call us to go while we're driving down to Arizona, of course. So that gets put off until we get back from Arizona. And so we came down last April, and Rick had a month of therapy. But what the therapist decided was that he needed Botox injections. And she referred him to the spasticity clinic, but there was no opening, right? Takes 3 or 4 months to get an appointment at the spasticity clinic. So we went back to Quesnel, thinking that our appointment for him to get his spasticity treatment was going to be in September. So we had known before we left that we were going to come down May 28th because there was a machine called the Kickstart device that we wanted to see if it would work for Rick, that would help him walk easier and so that he could do things in his shop that he likes to do. Because basically, Rick just stands on one foot. You know, if you try standing 1 foot for any length of time, you might find that you can only do it for a few minutes. So he's very tired, and he likes to work in a shop, but he can't stand and he can't walk very far, and he's always fought having to use electronic device. I said, why don't you ride your scooter in your shop? But no, he won't do that. Well, we come down for the Kickstart device. It's a no-go. He can't put any weight on his ankle at all. It is just so sore, he can't even walk with this thing. So that was May 28th, Wednesday. Thursday, I get a call from the lady at the spasticity clinic, not to give me an appointment, but she says, I've been trying to get a hold of you. I phoned all these numbers to confirm your appointment in August. I said, we don't have an appointment in August. We have an appointment in September. The August appointment was supposed to be canceled. Well, she said it wasn't. And I said, well, we don't need the August appointment. We need one in September. But I said, we are down here right now. So, and they only have spasticity clinics on Mondays and Fridays. She said, if you get a cancellation, and this is like for tomorrow, let us know. Friday morning, the phone rings at 9:30. Can you be here at 1 o'clock? Okay. So Friday, he had his appointment, and he's had all his shots in his leg. So then all of a sudden, we're okay, where are we going to stay? Because Barb had very nicely arranged for us to stay with George across the street, who we'd never met. And George had agreed to put us up for a week. And the thing is, there's challenges with places where Rick can live because of his mobility. But talk to George, no problem. You can stay for the 6 weeks. All the therapy is going to happen now, not in September. And it just, so when I wanted it to happen in April, it didn't. But we came down in May, and it just went click, 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 and everything's happening. And all right, he had his shots on Friday, and even yesterday he could tell his ankle felt better, and today it's feeling better. So even though they are telling us that the best we can hope for is he can maybe walk with a different cane, but we'll be able to have better walk. I'm confident. Like when you were talking here, and I was sitting there, I was thinking, he is going to walk without a cane. Mm-hmm. And Tuesday we go to driver rehab to see if he can get if he qualifies to get his license back. So I'm confident that he's going to walk, and that he's going to drive, and that he's going to get his brain back.
Well, I'll tell you, it's for sure.
Yeah,
it's for sure. Because just don't want to limit what God can do. I think for us to limit that is where we put in a wall in, is we limit it. We say, oh well, that's impossible. Well, we'd have thought it was impossible that Ozzy has a cast on for 3 months, but 3 days after he gets out of hospital, which is 10 days after the surgery, he's up on a ladder passing metal from the barn roof to our friend and our foster son who are roofing the farmhouse roof. And I'm saying, get off that ladder, and his friend is saying to me, go inside and bake some bread. But if he fell, it would be finished, right? Maybe this time it would paralyze him. But somehow or other he just kept on there. And 3 months later, they took him out of the cast, and the guy that was driving his route couldn't stay on the route, and he had to go back on the route. And either that or they get a new driver, no union or anything.
Yeah.
And back to work on his full job, 3.5 months after.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
And I mean, and Rick's story is very much the same. Like when he had his stroke, he has 160 acres, about 45 minutes outside of Prince George. And he would go there. He didn't live there, but he went there all the time. He had animals there, cows and horses and a donkey and all of this stuff that he was busy looking after. And so usually he went there alone. And he didn't arrange to take anybody with him, but there was an old guy that lived down the street, and Rick stopped at his house. He was already there with his coat on and said, "Oh, I knew you were going to pick me up today." And if he hadn't picked that guy up, he'd have just laid on the ground and died.
Wow.
Wow,
Right.
that's divine.
Yeah, all things
intervention.
are in divine order. So
Yeah,
it's
everything.
So
And
wonderful.
all of the health challenges that he's had since then. When he had his heart attack, in 2011, he had a very serious heart attack while he was staying at the chateau, and the building maintenance person had become friends with Rick and used to have his coffee breaks and everything in there. So he'd been in there visiting with Rick. Rick hadn't said anything about feeling lousy. And then Ferris left to go back and do his job. And when he left, he realized he'd forgotten something in Rick's apartment.
How
So when he-
arranged was that?
Yeah, so when he went back into Rick's apartment right away, Rick was on the ground already passed out in the middle of this heart attack, and they called 911, got the ambulance there right away, and he was dead for 4 minutes, and when they brought him back. So
Wow.
yeah, so
He's a
you know what?
walk-
When it's not
there's a
your
walking
time, it's
miracle.
not your time.
Miracle. He's walking, and he's a walking miracle.
Yeah.
How good is that?
He's but he carries a big load. It's hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes he gets real tired.
Yeah. And the thing is hard to keep up every day.
It is.
Because there are things that happen to us day to day. Our biorhythm isn't always up, and sometimes it takes a drop. So.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Gail. Thank you for asking.
Well, that's the thing, is that what I love about this is that we learn from each other as well. And it was kind of that way in my classroom this past week on our last day. One of the girls that I want to share with you, she says, on the first day, because it was her first day of college too, quite a bit younger than me though, but she's quite, wise for her age, and I'm inspired by her. But she says, when I started this first day, she says, I come in and I'm carrying my luggage that you guys can't see. It's this big box on my back with all my troubles. And I'm sitting here looking at you guys and I'm thinking, wow, what am I going to do here amongst all these people? They look like they all got it together, no troubles or anything, She says, but now 3 weeks later, through all the sharing that we've done and check-ins and stuff like that, she says, you guys have shared your box with me and your that you're carrying around. And she says, it's not so heavy now, my box, because now I know about yours too. And she says, now I really feel like, wow, I belong here. And it was just like a total change in her. I even saw it from, I saw her grow in 3 weeks. And it's kind of a neat group because since we're all learning to be counselors, we're all sharing because we're going to learn from each other. And like I've been in different groups specified for different problems. So we all had the same problem. So there I felt like, oh good, I'm not alone. But what's nice about being in this group, since we're all going to be counselors, we're kind of all learning, we're all sharing what we have gone through to get where we're at. And we've all come from different little problems, eating disorders or maybe alcohol, substance abuse or, maybe sexual abuse and violence that I've lived through and stuff like that. But we shared our story. We've made ourselves vulnerable, but each one of us learned from each other. And it's like we all at the end said thank you to each other because we all learned how we each got out of these different things, and it's all going to make us better counselors down the road.
Because then you've got a tool in your box from somebody else's experience.
Well, yeah, I had no idea what an eating disorder is like, because I think about food all the time. So I'm thinking, does that mean I have an eating disorder? Am I addicted to food? But when somebody told me about their eating disorder, and I listened to it, and I thought, okay, so that's where it's different. I'm just hungry all the time. Yeah, but
With mine used to too, but it quit moving and I kept eating.
so it's all good. And you know, the power of a idea that's come, you know, there's nothing more powerful than that, and having a great attitude. And so that can bring you far in life. And as I'm reading this development book too, you know, because it goes through the whole stages, and it's ending with the, you know, the older adult stage, and I'm thinking, wow, that's what I have to look forward to, because actually in the book it describes how older people really are the happiest people, because they've built up a resilience of being able to, you know, they're being able to maximize the positive feelings and emotions in their life, and minimize and dampen the things that aren't so good, and then that's what makes them more resilient. So beautiful for that, and I'm just going to start practicing that now.
So how are we for birthdays?
How are we for birthdays? Yeah.
And anniversaries.
Birthdays and anniversaries. Anybody got any this past week for coming up?
One son that's going to turn 59
Woo! Wow.
Yeah. in
Oh.
the 4th.
And my granddaughter's going to be 17 next week.
Oh, wow. That's
Wow.
fantastic. Well,
So I'm going to have all my kids in their 50s for the next 8 months. Once one boy will turn 50 he's still 49. So on August the 7th, he turns 50, and all for 8 months I'll have them all in their 50s.
Oh,
my
And
dad.
then one of them will turn 60, and I'll go, oh my God!
My dad's will be tomorrow. Can we include him? He's not
Yeah.
here anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I turn 50 next year, February, and so my mom will have all her kids in their 50s
Yeah.
for about 3 or 4 years.
You have a lot of
Yeah,
similarities.
yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, because I got married, just turned 20 when I got married.
Yeah.
I was 19 in February, and I got married, and I turned 20 in February, and I got married in March.
Yeah, there
So
you
it's
go.
Awesome, but it's great. So let's sing everybody a happy anniversary song. So
Good.
happy birthday, we love you. Happy birthday, and may all your dreams come true. When you blow out the candles, one light stays aglow. It's the love light in your eyes wherever you go.
Happy birthday!
Yeah, right now I say I'm 49 and feeling divine, and I've already came up with the 51. I'm 50 and feeling nifty.
I had a shirt that said 50 and nifty.
Oh, really? You still got it? You
Yeah.
gonna pass it on to me?
Yeah, I haven't got it anymore.
Oh, darn it. I love hand-me-downs.
But they say when I turn 80, that's the new 60.
Oh, there you
I'm
go.
going to get a shirt that said 80's the new 60.
There you go. I think so, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because years ago, I mean, 80-year-olds were...
80.
They were old.
they were...
They're knitting mittens for Britain. That's what they're doing.
yeah,
But this one's off for a rocker.
No, me
Yeah, not
too.
knitting.
yeah, no, I want to be like Betty White and just keep going. And,
That's the way. I think that's a good deal.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just wanted to mention that I just thought about Maya Angelou that passed away this
Yeah.
week, and I want to just give her a little honor.
A great
Yeah.
loss.
Yeah,
to-
great
to-
loss, but a great teacher,
Yeah.
and yeah, send love to her.
Yeah.
And,
And of course she knows that she could just move right in here.
but yeah, now she can start attending our services.
Yeah,
you
come
know,
attend
now that I
the
mentioned her,
service.
she heard me. She's in one of these chairs here.
It was Pat Boone's 80th birthday today because he was on Dr. Schuler singing.
Oh, right, because
Pat Boone.
he's the same
Really?
age.
Yeah,
He's basically
and
the
he
same
looks
age as
great.
I am.
He looks great. He sang great.
Yeah.
And he's still going strong.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. And in the future, near future, hopefully closer than later, we're hoping to offer a class, like a Saturday class.
Yeah.
We're
And the awareness, I think, is the one that everybody voted on. They want
Yeah.
to do the awareness first.
the awareness course to expand your mediumship abilities is one option. The other one was balanced life and prosper living. A third option would be interpersonal management and problem solving in business and one-on-one relationships. A fourth one, reincarnation, fact or fiction. And the fifth option would be palmistry for the fun and enjoyment. And so if you do have a preference, we would love to hear. Just let Barbara know which one sounds good to you. I'll leave this bulletin on the counter over there, and you can relook at it. And let Barbara know which one you think would be best. And maybe we can write. You can write on a little piece of paper for her to help her. So that way she don't have to try to remember what everybody says.
And give you a call when it's on. Well, keep watching the posts that I put out or the website, because when we start doing the courses, we'll have it on the website, and the people that are interested in whatever course it is. We have a lot of people, not here this time, but when I'm doing the classes in New West secondary, that are really interested in that reincarnation fact or fiction. They really like that one. And the palmistry course is always full. So, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. And we do appreciate tithing still. We don't do